Okay, this is some information on how to find the tool. I put a QR code there, but the fact is it's not going to work on your phone, it's not going to work on your iPad. You do need to open these web pages on a proper computer, you know, a PC or a laptop. But links are there, and if you want to search for it, just search for Analysing the English Indices of Deprivation. You should have no problem finding it. It's a website, so you should reference it. You should be familiar with this approach for referencing websites. So I'm not going to do this here, you can do that for yourself. And similarly for the next resource, so as well as referencing the tool if you use it, you should also reference the original source of the data, which is the gov.uk web pages. Again, just search for English Indices of Deprivation and you'll be able to find it without any problem. Okay, as I mentioned, this excellent tool written by various people, Tableau, Concerta and the UK PSTUG. Available online. If you've got a copy of Tableau Public, you can download the resource yourself. The number of ways we can look at this. What we're going to do is look at the low super output area map. So we go to here and navigate. And it brings up the first one in the database, which is Adour, which I think is in Scotland somewhere. We don't want that, we want Middlesbrough. So we'll have a scroll down. And we will find, where are we? Can't see if we look in Middlesbrough. There we are. Right, so these are low super output areas, and one thing we'll notice straight away is that they are different colours. Now, we looked at a map earlier on which had the whole sort of town in red, indicating very bad. Well, orange, red, not great. 46 in some areas, 46 out of 32,000. But some areas, the areas in blue, 31,000 out of 32,000, that's right up near the top. So there's areas in here which are down near the bottom 10% and areas here which are up near the top 10%. So that's quite a significant difference within the town. You can do an exercise where you go down Martin Road, and you would go from very high areas in the scores down to some of the lowest areas in the country. You can do a similar exercise coming in from Redcar. You can only show one thing at a time. And we'll just have a quick look at Redcar and Cleveland. Redcar and Cleveland. So again, we see sort of big variations, and interesting, we'll notice the very different areas in size. So along the banks of the Tees, very few people live there, as you might imagine. There's quite a few rural areas with a number of small towns in which have quite a lot of deprivation, whereas the towns tend to be a little bit better. Right, so we'll go back to Middlesbrough. There we go. Right. Right, now I should mention, yeah, okay, so that's fine. I should mention before we go any further, you can flip over and look at the whole of England. So if you click on that, we can get some comparison data for the whole of England. So we've got the worst at the top. I don't know where Middlesbrough comes in that. Won't be very low down. So the worst is Blackpool, and the top is Hart. Not entirely sure where that is. You can get it for local areas as well. We can bring up the northeast region. So again, we see Northumbria quite relatively well off. Quite a big area. Look how big the relative area is. If you look at the rest of the country, you see in London, for example, there are very big differences. Okay, so we'll go back to where we were before and have a look at how to get this information. Right, so we're back to Middlesbrough now. Yeah, before we do that, we'll have a look at some of the other data that's available on here. One is domain contribution. So we talked about the domains, the factors that you use to calculate the index of multiple deprivation score. We see over here, red is not great, so 9th out of 317, so these will be middle super output areas. Employment, income deprivation affecting old people, and then down here we've got some which are rather much higher. Living environment, I can't quite remember how that's calculated, but you can look it up yourself. And over here, barriers to housing and services, 286 out of 317. Now this is because housing prices in Teesside are relatively low compared to the rest of the country. Which is obviously a good thing, but there's still a raft of indicators over here which are a problem. We look at how things have changed over time. So again, going from the orange is worst to go into the blue ones is better. So if we look at this one down here, health and deprivation and disability, we can see there's been big efforts over the past, 10 years, up to 5, and then it's settled down a little bit. So significant improvement. But then we look at things like barriers to housing and service. They're always pretty good, and they haven't changed that much. But then we might look at income deprivation affecting children, which started off at 7, is now down to 2. So that's not great. Right, okay, so we'll go back to the map and we'll have a look at how to get some information out of this thing. Right, so the number of ways you can do this. A little button here which allows you to download various types of information. Now, if you have Tableau, you can download the workbook. But for the moment, what we'll look at is just using an image first. So it has a little chunk to do itself. And then it's going to open with photos. You can save the file. I would normally save it and open it up in something like Paint. But we'll open in Photos, and there it is. There's the image. I'm not going to save it. The other thing you do is you can get a PowerPoint slide, which is basically just the image, but we'll have a look at it. And there may be ways of getting more information about it. I haven't really had a look at this. This is the view we see in here. You can add specific sheets, and I haven't actually had a look at that, so have a look at that yourself. So we'll download this. Then we might have a look at the next thing. So open with PowerPoint. So it comes up with a title slide telling us when it was created, which is obviously very important. We talk about when you reference information, you should take a note of the date. And there's the image again. Right, so we'll close that up. Right, okay, so I think that's going to be a really useful tool. So I'll do some video and I'll add links for the information and referencing it as well. So thanks for listening.